Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, and asking that one monumental question: is this person really the one for me? In a world of endless swipes and fleeting connections, it's a question that carries more weight than ever. We're often told to look for sparks or butterflies, but what does science say? What do the deeper, more enduring principles of psychology reveal about a connection that isn't just passionate, but truly meant to be? Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of lasting love. We're moving beyond the surface-level cliches to explore 9 profound signs that you and your partner share a bond that is built to last. This isn't about fairy tales. It's about the tangible, observable patterns that psychologists and relationship researchers have identified in couples who not only stay together, but continue to thrive together. So whether you're in a new relationship and full of hope, or you've been with your partner for years and are seeking validation, this video is for you. We're going to explore the architecture of a truly compatible partnership. Get comfortable, and let's begin. A quick note before we start. Before we get into the signs, a crucial disclaimer: no relationship is perfect. Every single couple, no matter how meant to be, faces challenges, disagreements, and bad days. These signs are not about a state of perpetual, conflict-free bliss. Instead, they are about the underlying foundation of your relationship, the resilient core that allows you to navigate those inevitable storms together. Think of these as the pillars holding up the beautiful but sometimes leaky house of your partnership. If you see these pillars in your relationship, you're likely on a very solid foundation. All right, let's get into it. Sign number 1. Sign 1, you feel secure, not anxious. The attachment theory foundation. The first and perhaps most fundamental sign comes from the cornerstone of modern relationship psychology, attachment theory. Developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, this theory explains that our early experiences with caregivers create a blueprint for how we connect in our adult relationships. There are 3 primary styles: secure, anxious, and avoidant. If you and your partner are truly meant to be, the overall feeling you experience in the relationship is one of security. This is the hallmark of a secure attachment bond. What does this feel like in practice? You don't play games. You don't feel the need to wait 3 hours to text back to seem cool or busy. You communicate your needs openly, and your partner receives them without judgment. There's a sense of predictability and reliability. You can be independent without fear. When your partner goes out with friends or pursues a solo hobby, you feel genuinely happy for them. You don't spiral into anxiety, wondering if they're going to meet someone else or if they're losing interest. Their time away doesn't feel like a threat to your connection. It's just a normal part of 2 whole lives intertwining. You're a secure base. As psychologist Dr. Sue Johnson describes, a secure partner acts as a safe haven in times of distress and a secure base from which you can explore the world. When you have a bad day at work, you know you can go to them for comfort, and when you have a big dream you want to chase, you feel their support as a launching pad, not an anchor. The psychology fact: studies consistently show that couples with secure attachment styles report higher relationship satisfaction, better communication, and greater longevity. They navigate conflicts more effectively because their primary goal isn't to win an argument, but to repair the connection and restore security. The fear of abandonment or the fear of engulfment, the hallmarks of anxious and avoidant styles, are largely absent. You feel, at your core, that you are on the same team. This deep-seated security is the fertile ground in which true, lasting love can grow. If you find yourself in a constant state of anxiety, decoding texts and analyzing tones, that's a sign of an insecure attachment dynamic. But when you feel a calm, steady confidence in your partner's presence and commitment, you've hit the first and most critical sign that this relationship is something special. Sign 2. Conflict is a bridge, not a battlefield, the masters of repair. Now let's talk about something inevitable, conflict. Many people mistakenly believe that a meant-to-be couple never fights. Nothing could be further from the truth. The sign of a strong relationship isn't the absence of conflict, but the way you handle it. Dr. John Gottman, a legendary relationship researcher, can predict with over 90% accuracy whether a couple will divorce by observing how they argue. The key differentiator? It's not about how much they fight, but their ability to perform what he calls repair attempts. When you are truly meant to be with someone, you approach conflict as a collaborative problem to be solved, not a war to be won. You use I statements versus you. Accusations. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," you might say, "I feel hurt when I'm talking and it seems like I don't have your full attention." This small shift removes blame and focuses on your own emotional experience. You focus on the specific issue, not character assassination. You argue about the fact that they forgot to take out the trash, not about how they are an irresponsible and lazy person. You keep the conflict contained rather than letting it explode into a global critique of their entire character. You de-escalate. This is the heart of repair attempts. In the heat of an argument, one of you has the ability to inject humor, show affection, or simply say, "Okay, I need a timeout, but I love you and we will figure this out." This stops the negative spiral in its tracks. It's a signal that the relationship is more important than the argument. The psychology fact. Gottman identified what he calls the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in relationships: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Couples who are headed for breakdown consistently use these. Couples who last, however, actively combat them with their antidotes. They gentle a startup instead of criticizing. They build a culture of appreciation to fight contempt. They take responsibility instead of being defensive, and they self-soothe to avoid stonewalling. If after a disagreement you feel closer and more understood, even if the issue isn't 100% resolved, that's a powerful sign. It means you are using conflict as a tool to understand each other better, to negotiate your shared life, and to build resilience. Your arguments don't leave craters, they build bridges. Sign 3. You share a we against the world mindset, the shared identity. The third sign is a subtle but profound shift in language and perspective. Pay close attention to how you and your partner talk about your lives, your problems, and your futures. In less integrated relationships, the language is often I, me, and you. This is what I want. You need to do this. But when a couple is truly meant to be, a powerful new entity emerges, the we. This is the development of a shared identity. You start to see yourselves not just as 2 individuals who are dating, but as an interconnected team, a unit. The language of we. You catch yourself saying things like, "How should we handle this holiday season?" Or, "Our goal for next year is to save up for a house." Or, "That's just how we do things." This linguistic shift reflects a deep psychological shift. Facing problems as a unified front. When an external challenge arises, a family issue, a financial setback, a personal crisis, your first instinct isn't to figure it out alone or to blame your partner. Your instinct is to turn to each other and say, "Okay, how are we going to get through this? The problem is out there and you are in here together." You become protective of the us. You make decisions with the health of the relationship in mind. You might turn down a tempting offer that would take you away from your partner for too long, not out of obligation, but because it feels like it would harm your shared unit. You defend your partner and your relationship to outsiders because the we is a sacred space you both cherish. The psychology fact. Research in social psychology confirms that this shared identity is a massive predictor of relationship success. It fosters something called transformative coping, where couples reframe stresses as shared challenges rather than individual burdens. This we-ness acts as a buffer against life's inevitable stresses. It's the difference between my problem and our problem to solve. When you have a shared identity, your partner's victories feel like your victories, and their struggles feel like your struggles to overcome together. You are no longer just two people. You are a partnership, a team, a small resilient tribe of two. Sign 4. You are each other's safe haven for vulnerability. Sign number 4 is about the courage to be truly, deeply seen. According to the renowned researcher and storyteller Brené Brown, vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. It is the absolute core of meaningful human connection. In a relationship that is meant to be, your partner is your designated safe haven for vulnerability. This means you can show up as your complete, authentic self, flaws, fears, weird quirks, and all, without the fear of being shamed, mocked, or rejected. You share your shame stories. You can talk about the things you're most ashamed of, the failures, the embarrassments, the parts of yourself you try to hide from the world. And instead of judgment, you are met with empathy. Your partner might hold your hand and say, "I understand," or even share a shame story of their own. This creates an incredibly powerful bond. You can be uncool. You can have a silly dance party in the kitchen, cry over a sad movie, or admit that you're secretly terrified of the dark. You can be goofy, needy, or insecure, and know that in your partner's eyes it doesn't make you less attractive. It makes you more human and more loved. There is no performance. So many relationships feel like a constant performance, trying to be the perfect girlfriend, the chill boyfriend, the together partner. In a truly secure bond, that performance ends. You can be tired, grumpy, sad, or anxious, and just be. You are loved for who you are, not for who you are pretending to be. The psychology fact. Brené Brown's decades of research show that vulnerability requires a strong sense of worthiness and courage. When we share our vulnerable selves, and that sharing is met with acceptance, our brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. This neurochemical exchange literally builds trust and deepens attachment. It reinforces the neural pathways that say, "This person is safe." When you have a partner with whom you can be vulnerable without armoring up, you have found one of the rarest and most precious gifts in human connection. It is a clear sign that your relationship is a sanctuary, not a stage. Sign 5. Your core values are in sync, the moral compass alignment. This fifth sign moves us from the emotional realm to the foundational bedrock of a relationship, your value system. You can have incredible chemistry, great communication, and a secure attachment. But if your core values are fundamentally misaligned, the relationship will eventually hit a wall. Core values are your non-negotiable principles. They are the deep-seated beliefs that guide your life. Things like honesty, family, ambition, spirituality, adventure, financial security, or service to others. When you are truly meant to be with someone, your core values are not just similar, they are in sync. You agree on the big picture. While you may disagree on the minor details, you are aligned on the major life questions. Do you both want children? What does fidelity mean to you? What is the role of family in your lives? How important is financial stability versus creative freedom? Your answers to these questions come from the same fundamental place. Your lifestyles reflect shared values. If you value health and adventure, you might both naturally gravitate towards hiking on weekends and cooking healthy meals. If you both value family, you'll prioritize time with relatives. Your daily life is an expression of your shared moral compass. You respect each other's non-negotiables. Even in the strongest relationships, there might be one or two values that aren't perfectly aligned. The key is deep respect. For example, if one of you is deeply spiritual and the other is agnostic. There is no pressure to convert, only a respect for the other's path and a willingness to find a shared meaning that honors both. The psychology fact. Social psychology tells us that value congruence is a massive predictor of long-term relationship satisfaction. Why? Because values are the roadmap for our biggest decisions. When that roadmap is shared, navigating life becomes a cooperative journey. When it's not, every major decision, where to live, how to raise kids, how to spend money, becomes a potential battlefield, a clash of fundamental worldviews. Being with someone who shares your core values feels like coming home. It feels effortless because you are both fundamentally pointing in the same direction. Sign 6. You actively nurture fondness and admiration, the positive perspective. Over time, the initial infatuation fades. The brain chemistry of the honeymoon phase is not sustainable. What takes its place in a lasting, meant-to-be relationship is something more conscious and more powerful, a cultivated culture of fondness and admiration. This is the 6th sign. It's not that you never get annoyed, it's that your overall mental image of your partner is positive. You actively focus on their good qualities and express your appreciation for them. Dr. Gottman calls this building a culture of appreciation. It's the psychological antidote to contempt, the most destructive of the 4 horsemen. You brag about each other. When you're with friends or family, you find yourself telling stories that highlight your partner's strengths, kindness, or talents. You are their biggest cheerleader in public and in private. You hold a positive story of us. When you think about the history of your relationship, you focus on the good times, the obstacles you've overcome, and the reasons you fell in love. You might reminisce about your first date or a funny vacation memory, keeping the positive narrative alive. You notice the small things. Thank you for making coffee this morning. I love the way you laughed at that movie. I noticed you took the trash out without me asking. That was so helpful. These small, specific acknowledgements are like deposits in the emotional bank account of your relationship, building up a massive reserve of goodwill. The psychology fact. Gottman's research discovered that in stable marriages, couples have a ratio of positive to negative interactions of at least 5-to-1 during conflict. That means for every negative comment or interaction, there are 5 positive ones. This high ratio is only possible when a couple is consistently nurturing fondness and admiration. It creates what he calls a positive sentiment override, where a neutral comment, like, "Did you remember to pay the bill?" is interpreted neutrally rather than as a criticism. In relationships low on admiration, the same comment can be interpreted as an attack, a state known as negative sentiment override. When you actively nurture admiration, you are essentially putting on a pair of glasses that allows you to see the best in your partner, even on their worst days. Sign 7, you feel seen, heard, and understood, the practice of empathic accuracy. The 7th sign is about something more profound than just listening. It's about being understood. It's the feeling that your partner truly gets you, your inner world, your quirks, your hopes, and your fears. Psychologists call this empathic accuracy, and it's a skill that meant-to-be couples excel at. This goes beyond hearing their words. It's about reading their tone, their body language, and the meaning behind the words. They remember the details. They remember that you hate the sound of scraping metal, that your favorite childhood book was The Chronicles of Narnia, and that you get anxious in large crowds. These aren't test questions. They are the details your partner files away because you matter. They can read your mood. They can walk into a room and sense that you've had a hard day without you saying a word. They can tell from the way you sigh or the way you set your keys down that something is bothering you, and crucially, they check in. You seem a little quiet. Is everything okay? They understand your love map. This is another Gottman term. It's that part of your brain where you store all the relevant information about your partner's life, their dreams, their worries, their history. A partner with a detailed love map knows what stresses you out at work, who your difficult relative is, and what your secret ambitions are. They are an expert on you. The psychology fact. Studies on empathic accuracy show that it is a critical component of relationship satisfaction. It's the difference between a generic response and a deeply connected one. For example, if you say, "I'm so tired," a disconnected partner might just say, "Yeah, me too." A partner with high empathic accuracy might say, "I know, it's been a long week with that big project. Why don't you relax and I'll handle dinner tonight?" That response shows they have connected your current state, tiredness, with its cause, the big project, and are responding to the need beneath the words. When you feel consistently seen and understood on this level, it validates your very existence. It tells you that you are not alone in this world. Someone is paying attention and they truly see you. Sign 8. You support each other's growth, the Michelangelo Phenomenon. The 8th sign is beautifully captured by a concept in social psychology known as the Michelangelo Phenomenon. Just as the sculptor Michelangelo saw his job as freeing the ideal figure from the block of marble, we can sculpt our partners towards their ideal selves. In a relationship that is meant to be, you don't just accept each other as you are. You actively support each other in becoming the best version of yourselves. You are each other's sculptors, and you bring out the ideal self trapped within. You affirm each other's aspirations. When your partner says, "I think I want to go back to school," or "I have this idea for a business," your first response is not skepticism or fear, but curiosity and support. "Tell me more. What excites you about that?" You perceive their best qualities. You see the strength in them when they feel weak. You see the kindness in them when they feel cynical. You reflect back to them the person they are capable of being, and in doing so, you help them become that person. There is no threat in their success. You are not threatened or diminished by your partner's achievements, their promotion, their fitness goal, their personal breakthrough. You see these as shared victories. Their growth does not come at the expense of yours. It elevates the entire relationship. The psychology fact. Research on the Michelangelo phenomenon shows that when partners affirm each other's ideal selves, several amazing things happen. First, the individual actually moves closer to being their ideal self. They become more confident, more satisfied with life, and have higher self-esteem. Second, the relationship itself benefits, showing higher levels of satisfaction and commitment. You feel like your partner is on your team, not just in the relationship, but in the grand project of your life. In a constricting relationship, you feel like you are shrinking to fit. In a relationship characterized by the Michelangelo phenomenon, you feel like you are expanding, blossoming, and becoming more fully you. Sign 9. It's a choice, not just a feeling, the commitment equation. The 9th and final sign brings everything together. In our culture, we are sold a story that love is a feeling that happens to us. We fall in love as if we have no agency. And while the initial attraction is often involuntary, a relationship that is truly meant to be is rooted in something more conscious and powerful, a daily choice. This is the understanding that love is not just a noun, it's a verb. It's an active commitment. You choose them every day, even on days when the in-love feeling is faint, even on days when you're annoyed or disconnected. There is a bedrock understanding that you are choosing to stay and work on it. You don't stay because you're trapped by fear or obligation. You stay because, after careful consideration of all the other options, you continually choose this person. You practice gratitude for the ordinary. The grand romantic gestures are easy. The real choice is found in appreciating the mundane, comfortable, boring Tuesday nights. It's choosing to find beauty in the simple act of watching TV together or doing the dishes side by side. You aren't constantly looking over the fence, wondering if the grass is greener. You are actively watering your own lawn. You see the relationship as a living thing. You understand that a relationship is like a plant. It can't survive on the water you gave it on the first day. It needs consistent, daily nurturing. You both take responsibility for that nurturing. You are the gardeners of your connection. The psychology fact. This concept aligns with the work of psychologist Robert Sternberg's triangular theory of love. He posits that consummate, complete love is a combination of three elements: intimacy, the emotional connection; passion, the physical and romantic drive; and commitment, the conscious decision to stay together. Many relationships have one or two, but the most enduring ones have all three. The commitment component is the cognitive decision that stabilizes the relationship when the winds of passion and intimacy inevitably wax and wane. It is the promise you make to yourself and to each other that this is your path and you will walk it together. So there we have them, 9 psychological signs that you and your partner are truly meant to be. 1. You feel secure, not anxious. 2. Conflict is a bridge, not a battlefield. 3. You share a we against the world mindset. 4. You are each other's safe haven for vulnerability. 5. Your core values are in sync. 6. You actively nurture fondness and admiration. 7. You feel seen, heard, and understood. 8. You support each other's growth. The Michelangelo Phenomenon. 9. It's a conscious daily choice. If you recognized many of these signs in your relationship, take a moment to feel deep gratitude. You have found something rare and beautiful. Nurture it, protect it, and never take it for granted. If you found only a few, don't be discouraged. Remember, these are not innate, unchangeable traits. They are skills and dynamics that can be learned and cultivated. You can work on building security. You can learn healthier conflict styles. You can consciously practice admiration and empathy. A relationship is a living, breathing entity that evolves, and you have the power to influence its direction. The most important takeaway is this: a meant-to-be relationship isn't about finding a perfect person, but about building a profound and resilient connection with an imperfect person, perfectly suited to you. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the psychology of lasting love. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Which sign resonated with you the most? We love hearing your stories. If you're passionate about understanding the psychology behind human relationships, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Until next time, remember, the most beautiful relationships are not just found, they are built. Take care.